This is the Olympus XA. Now, over the years, this thing has earned the crown of one of the best compact cameras on the market, especially for street photography. And with the resurgence of film, there's been a lot of hype around this camera. But is the XA really the best option? There's tons of other cameras, but what made the XA the weapon of choice for hundreds of street photographers? Let's find out. So one thing I think plays a big role in why this camera is so popular is the size. Like realistically, it's about the size of my palm. It's smarter than my cell phone. Like this thing can easily fit inside of a pocket. You know, it also features a 35mm 2.8 Zuiko lens, and Zuiko glass is probably one of the top-notch glass you can get back at the end of the day. Now, the size and the lens is some strong points to the camera. One thing I find troublesome is how sensitive the shutter button is. It's not like a regular shutter where you have to press down and use pressure. Instead, this one sits flush and you barely have to touch it. It's feather light. It's almost like a touchscreen. This is a great idea to reduce camera shake when taking a photo, especially at low shutter speeds, but you also run the risk of taking pictures on accident. Like for me, my first roll on here, I wasted my first 2 shots because I wanted the film, I closed the shell up, and then without knowing it, I opened it up again, accidentally pressed the shutter button. Look how easy it is. That's all it takes. You know, this isn't a big problem, but I can see it getting annoying after, you know, wasting a lot of shots. Now, I don't know about you guys, but focusing for me with the Olympus XA was a struggle. The XA features rangefinder focusing, so you just have to line up the 2 images and square them up. But for me, when you're walking down the street and you have subjects moving, you only have so much time to be able to react. Now, the XA does feature a really short focus though to aid out, but I'm not used to rangefinder focusing. So because of that, I missed so many shots out in the street, shots that I really wanted to take, but they're moving subjects. So if you're into rangefinder focusing, this might be your camera. But if you're into manual focus SLR cameras, this might not be your cup of tea. So now comes the question. Is the Olympus XA the best street photography tool? Yeah, kinda. The size and compactness of this camera is definitely one of the strong points. You know, not to mention the 35mm 2.8 Zuiko lens that produces amazing results. Probably one of the best I've seen from a really small camera. No wonder hundreds of photographers deem this one of the best things to use out there. But there are a couple things that I ran into that might be problematic. The first thing would be the shutter button. Because it sits flush and it's a really sensitive feather-like touch button, you run the risk of taking shots on accident. Not a big deal, I get it, but it does get annoying when you waste shots. You know, on film you only have like 36 to 24, you know, exposures per roll. You don't want to waste a shot. With this thing, I see you wasting 2 to 3 shots every roll. The second thing that was problematic for me was rangefinder focusing. Now lining up the two images is pretty simple, but it's not that easy when you're doing it on a moving subject. Walking down the street and you have a subject coming down, you really want to take a photo, you only have so much time to do so. The focusing on this is pretty smooth and it's really short. The focus interval is short, but you do miss some shots. So overall, if you're looking for a small pocketable camera that can produce amazing photos and also features aperture priority with a 35mm 2.8 lens, this might be your camera. If you're into rangefinder focusing, this might be your best friend. If you're not into rangefinder focusing, and if you're still looking for a small pocketable camera that can bring you around and it's fully capable, I recommend picking up the Olympus Stylus or Olympus MJU or even the Olympus MJU2. Now these cameras are a little bit more automated, but you know, they're fully capable. And honestly, I think this camera and the XA should be in the battle. The XA is definitely a great camera, but just like all other things, it's not for everyone. As always, you guys, this has been KingJvpes. Till next time.